You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Remax Palm Realty Mobile Tower. We're mobile because we're going to be moving our tower next week, and we will be installing at Public Works and at City Hall, as we have a great partnership with the City of Northport in being the emergency broadcasting network for the City of Northport and the citizens of Northport. While I am going to introduce Jason one more time today, at least one more time today, I would gladly remind you to please share this information. The more that we can get our citizens on board with communications, the better off we are. Let me introduce Jason Bartolone. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, John. Uneventful night last night, so that's good. But we're ready to go here today.
So uneventful, but we still have some strategy playing out here. Can you explain that to the citizens?
Absolutely. So the city is fully activated with our Emergency Operations Center here at City Hall. We've been working around the clock. We had a team working overnight, monitoring the conditions, monitoring our city employee shelter operations, with our first responders out in the field, getting ready to respond to this incident in this storm if we see any impacts later today or into tomorrow. So the city is fully ready and prepared for whatever this storm brings our way. We're looking at the forecast right now. We're expecting some high intensity winds and possibly some tropical storm force winds at some point today going into this evening. So we'll be standing by and ready to respond to that if we need to.
Robin, thank you for the feedback. Is the sound any better? We've got great reception here. Please let us know. Is it me or is it just Jason? Also, as far as the shelter, can't hear him. Switch that out.
Sure.
Let's see if that's any better. Just Jason. Go ahead and speak again, Jason.
All right, John. Yep. Hopefully that works. You want to try?
Is that better? Gotten both mics over there now, so it should be fine. Nope, not better. All right. So now you're going to have to project.
All right.
All right. So let me know if it's better as we go along. I appreciate it. I'm gonna make some adjustments as I go, but let me see if I can do this here real quick. And let Jason one more time give us a quick update about City Hall. Let's see if that's better.
Sure. So the city is fully activated in our Emergency Operations Center. We have a team working around the clock. They've been working overnight to monitor the conditions out there, monitoring our facilities. Our first responders are ready to respond to this incident in the event that we get the impacts that we're expected to see. We know we're going to get some high intensity winds coming through Northport beginning anytime today, going through this evening, and possibly some tropical storm force winds. So we're ready to respond to that as needed.
Fantastic. And now we've got better sound. I've made some adjustments here. We've worked actually through the night a little bit. We had a crew in EOC working and monitoring things. I talked to Chief Titus. He may come on later. We have City Manager Jerome Fletcher, who's going to join us later on today. But tell us how the EOC is handling information now and what the citizens of Northport should be aware of.
Sure. So the city is participating in calls with both the county and the National Weather Service, monitoring the latest storm forecasts and the tracks for our area and for Northport in particular. So we had a briefing this morning where the storm forecast and the outlook hasn't changed much from what we were seeing last night. Again, we're still expecting those high winds at any point going through the rest of today, so we're monitoring that situation. And then we're going to be watching for storm surge. That is a potential, especially as we move north of here into Tampa Bay and up all the way up to the Panhandle with this storm. But that can impact us here as well. So a level A activation has been issued by Sarasota County, and so those folks hopefully that live in those areas in level A, which is going to be near the Myakka River and in our mobile home communities here in Northport, hopefully have taken advice, taken that precaution to heart, and move themselves to a safe location at this time.
So let's talk about our current weather condition and the citizens who are walking around going, no fear, nothing to worry about here, it's already done. Can you give some insight there on why they should just be a little bit more concerned?
Yeah, we live in Florida. We know how the weather can change on a dime on a daily basis. And when you have a storm of this magnitude out there, it's projected to be a Category 3 at least right now when it hits landfall in the Panhandle. So that's a dangerous storm. And even though it is very far off the coast, it has a huge wind span where it can impact well inland on all the way up the Florida coast as it moves past us. And that's going to be at the peak later this afternoon, but even well into this evening that we could see very high intensity winds, even to the point that if they reach those 45-mile-an-hour speeds, our first responders are going to be pulled back and not be able to respond out there if there's an emergency because it's not safe. So everyone should heed the advice of the professionals out there, the meteorologists with the National Weather Service that are giving us the latest and greatest information. Look for those verified sources, the information that Sarasota County and the city of Northport are sharing, and make the best decision for yourself. At some point, it's not going to be really safe out there, and we want our residents to listen to that and take it to heart.
So with the storm still approaching, I was talking with Chief Titus this morning after he spent the whole night in the EOC. He's now taken a quick nap. What is the plan now for the EOC, and how should the residents pay attention to that?
Sure. So again, we're coordinating with the county and with the state and looking at the information and the impacts that we might see here in Northport. And it's part of my team's job in communications to get that information out to the residents. So we're doing that in a variety of ways. We want people to stay in touch, stay informed. Hopefully you are getting weather alerts. You're getting the Alert Sarasota County notifications about the evacuations. You're getting our text alerts from the city of Northport, following us on social media, tuning in here on Facebook and on the radio on WKDW. We are getting the latest information out, and as we said, the forecast can always change. We could see impacts. We could see the typical flooding well into Friday because we're going to have those storm surge impacts, and we want to be prepared, and we want everyone to have the situational awareness that they need to stay safe.
Yeah, Jennifer Lyons asked a question. Are shutters suggested?
So shutters are always a good idea when a storm is approaching. If you look at some of the resources out there from the State Division of Emergency Management, they always recommend that, especially with a wind event like this where we're expecting high winds, if you have them and if you're concerned about your property, it's always a good time to take those precautions.
So we've got a tornado warning into effect until about 8 p.m. this evening because we're on the outer bands, and a lot of that activity that forms out there can come our way. So shutters are a good idea for flying debris for all intents and purposes. But the fact that we're under that sort of alert is very alarming because of the size of this storm. We're at like 570 miles across, projected to go to 600 if it goes to a Category 4. Suggestions again on people paying attention, staying off the roads, especially later this evening.
Yeah, there's a reason that the National Weather Service issues those kind of watches and warnings, because either the conditions are possible or it's expected. So when we're under a tornado watch, that means there's a likelihood that there could be a tornado. And as you know, it's a lot different than a hurricane. We have hours and hours of it in advance notice. But when those conditions are present for a tornado, that can pop up at any time and can be really destructive just as much as a hurricane coming through. So, you want to heed those warnings when they come out and make sure you're paying attention and taking the precautions that you feel are necessary.
So we'll do a little rapid fire here. State of our canals right now.
The state of our canals is really good. Public Works has been monitoring the levels in the canals throughout the system, monitoring the gauges. We feel like there's really good capacity right now throughout the system. They've been monitoring the creek levels. We don't anticipate to see more than our typical flooding at the most, hopefully, with this event, but the team is constantly monitoring and maintaining that to make sure we have enough capacity.
How about the first responders right now?
So first responders are all working like normal, and we have crews ready to back them up as well. They're standing by, ready to assist.
City Hall open or closed?
City Hall is closed today. We'll be making a determination about tomorrow, depending on what impacts we see later today. But City Hall offices are closed today, as well as trash pickup, in case you're going to ask next, John. Trash and recycling today is suspended. So if Thursday is your normal pickup day, that is planned to take place on Friday. If Friday is your normal pickup day, that is expected to take place on Saturday. Again, that's all subject to change based on the weather that we might see, but that is the plan right now.
And suggestions about FPL and internet providing services and other types of services like those, is there a suggestion from you as a communications manager for the city?
Sure. So we are in coordination with those partners. FPL actually is working with Sarasota County at their EOC. So it's not just county government or city government officials that are activated. Sometimes we have partners like that. FPL is a huge partner for this region. I know that they have resources staged down in Venice for our area if they need to respond with crews to repair lines if we get the damage that we might expect from a storm like this. And then for residents, those resources are available online. FPL does a really great job with sharing that information on their website. I know we've heard from Comcast, Xfinity, so if you have that service, they have resources available online where you can check the status and see what's going on if we see those impacts.
And Daryl Moore asked, is there any mail delivery today?
As far as I know, that's handled by the U.S. Postal Service, not city or county government. But as far as we know, it's taking place.
Yeah. So just look for the mail carriers out there. I'm not sure. That's actually a great question when we're under a state of emergency. What happens on that level? So that I'll do some research, Daryl, and see if I can't find an answer for that. That's more fitting. But that was a great question. Anything else you'd like to add in, Jason?
You know, this is a great opportunity. I know it's sunny out there. It looks nice, and hopefully we don't see the level of impact that certainly communities to the north and in the Big Bend and Panhandle, our hearts go out to them. Our teams are ready to stand by and help other communities too, and I just wanted to mention that. We see often our first responders, police, fire, public works, they'll go to a neighboring community if Northport doesn't get impacted because they want to help. Our utilities teams are standing by. I heard from them this morning, our utilities director. They have crews ready to go and go all the way up to the Big Bend if needed to help out because we know that area has been impacted as well. So they can lend their expertise. We coordinate that through the state if there's mutual aid needed so that our experts and our professionals can go help out other communities, and we would expect the same. And obviously we had a lot of that with Hurricane Ian, the way we were impacted. So the city is ready, but it's a great opportunity for everybody to review your preparedness plan. Make sure you are prepared, make sure you're informed, make sure you're getting those alerts right now. If you're not, go online, check your notifications. You can text, sign up for text alerts from the city. If you send a text to 888-777 and send the word NP Strong, that'll sign you up for our text alerts that we've been pushing out, so you can get information directly from the city of Northport on your cell phone. Make sure you're following us on social media, following WKDW because they're our official radio partner. And these are the ways that you're going to want to get information if it's going to impact you in a storm, whether it's this one or in the future. We live in Florida and this is a part of life here. So for whether you've been here years or you're new to Florida, this is the time to make sure that you're prepared.
So let's talk a little bit about when you say the city is closed, does that include all departments?
So when we say the city's closed, we mean the public offices are closed, the rec centers, the billing office here at City Hall and the building division, those are closed, but the city is working. Everybody here at the city has an emergency role, so whether it's here at City Hall working in our EOC or our department personnel that are out working in the different department centers, at Public Works, at utilities, our first responders. Everybody has a role, and it may be different from their day-to-day role, but they're ready and standing by to support the operations here, support the response, and then support the recovery if needed. So the city is fully active, and everybody's working hard. I'm very proud to say that I'm a part of that team, and we take the public service part of our job very seriously.
And one other thing, we've got a lot of different things happening within the city. As far as like the schools and they're shut down too. I know they're shut down through Friday. The hospitals, how are they doing?
So we've heard no indications of any closures, and operations are continuing as normal at the hospitals and the ERs. Our EMS team is in communication with them, and they have a backup plan in case that those facilities are impacted or that our teams aren't able to get to them, and if we're impacted on the roads with the weather that we may see. So it's a constant communication with all these different partners. You mentioned the schools, the county government. We are working hand in hand with them, and we're in touch with their EOC because it takes a coordinated effort. We can't do it alone at the city. We rely on the county for help, for resources, and we go through them. If needed, we coordinate with our partners at the schools. Everything plays off one another. And so when the schools are closed, that means school employees are working those shelters. That means the city might need to support. So we all work hand in hand when there's a disaster like this.
So can you give us a quick update and overview of where the storm is at now and what conditions are forming because of that?
Yeah, so the storm was in the southern part of the Gulf. It's moving very slowly, but the latest track still has it pointing straight up to the Big Bend and the Panhandle. But like you said earlier, John, it's a very wide storm. It's a very large wind field, and so we do expect those wind impacts here in Northport. Our team is constantly monitoring what the wind speeds are in the buoys out in the Gulf, at the weather stations at the airports, looking at that wind speeds. And if we see those winds pick up to the 45-mile-an-hour range sustained, which is possible here in Northport throughout the day, that will have an impact on our response in emergency services. So we're watching the storm very closely.
So one of the things I just like that you talked about was the buoys. One of the things I learned about our water control structures is that we watch further north to make sure that we're not going to get a dumping of water from up north. With this storm, there's still a lot of rain that can come with it, but it's really projected to be limited rain for us in our watershed area. So are we concerned about our canals getting the same flooding we got with Ian?
We don't expect to see that level of flooding at this time. Conditions are different with every storm, and every storm is different. We have a lot of capacity in our waterways right now. As you mentioned, we're watching it very closely. The Public Works Director and his team are watching those rain gauges, not just here in Northport, but well to the north of us. We're in a huge watershed. It's about 200 miles, and so what happens well to the north of Northport can impact us, and that can happen even after the storm passes us. So they're constantly looking at that data, using it to make decisions, to move the water around, to make adjustments to the system, to make sure we have enough capacity. We don't think we're going to see the level of flooding, certainly of Ian, or even of Debbie, hopefully, with the way the conditions are presenting right now.
So as far as staying inside today and hunkering down, that's highly suggested, correct?
Highly suggested. Like we said, we're going to see very high winds, and if they reach the level that it's not safe for our first responders, that means it's not safe for anybody out there. So everybody should take caution right now. If you don't have to be outside, it's a great idea to stay home.
And again, reiterate, first responders stop when?
They stop when we have sustained winds of about 45 miles an hour. It can be a judgment call, but if we're seeing that sustained level of wind, it's not safe for them to be out there, so we have to make that call. And that does, present a challenge for people that haven't evacuated, and they may see impacts from this storm. So again, level A evacuation has been issued. We know we've been in contact with a lot of those communities. Our first responders have gone door to door in some of them to visit with those people to make sure that they are aware of the conditions and what are their plans. We've seen many of them choose to evacuate voluntarily, but we've seen many that have decided that they want to shelter in place. And they have to make the best decision for themselves and their families, but we want them to be informed about what's going on and what's expected.
So Darren Moore wanted to give a shout out to the police department, the fire department, and the electric workers for what they've done. I want to expand on that just a tad bit because I want people to understand what truly happens in an EOC as that goes into play. We do have fire, we do have police, we do have FPL out there in the world, but can you talk about the staff and the importance of everybody taking on new roles in their jobs?
Absolutely. Again, we're so proud of this entire team because you have individuals who set aside their day-to-day jobs as part of their emergency response. They leave their families, they make their preparedness plans at home, and they come here to work or out in the field, and they're ready to serve their fellow residents here in the city of Northport. So it takes an entire team effort. Obviously, our first responders are out there on the front lines. They're dealing with the weather conditions out in the field. But we have an entire team of people here who are standing by, who are monitoring, who are providing resources, who are ready to get back to normal operations and respond to whatever comes our way. So it's a very, very fulfilling part of being a public servant when you work for the city and when you are responding to an event like this.
So a lot of things happen when we are in the preparation and even during and post storm. One of our greatest assets is our partnership with the county. We don't duplicate a lot of things. Can you talk about where they can go to get resources for preparedness, guides, things like that through the county?
Absolutely. So you can find them. We link to them on our page. So if you go to northportfl.gov/alerts, we have a bunch of resources there, not only the information for this storm and what's going on, the latest updates, but preparedness resources. We link to Sarasota County's preparedness guide that they put out every year, which has great information about how to prepare your home, what you need to bring if you're going to a shelter, all kinds of stuff that you can do year round. And then as well as resources from the federal government, they have lots of different checklists and information that you can use to make sure you're prepared and make the best decisions for yourself and your family.
Well, as Parks and Rec has incorporated Warm Mill Springs in, is it going to be open tomorrow?
That's a great question. As of right now, I don't have any more information. All facilities are closed today. That's the latest. We want everybody to stay tuned, and all those methods that we talked about, the text alerts, visiting our website here on WKDW, stay tuned because we have to make decisions sometimes very late as we look at the conditions and see what they're going to bring to us tomorrow. So everyone needs to stand by and just be patient while we wait for this storm to pass.
So EOC does stay locked down right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're on a lockdown situation. We've got 2 shifts of people here working around the clock to serve the community.
So I want to add something in. We're going to have more information as the day goes on, but we're also going to have hopefully like a post event so that we can get the most updated information about things being reopened. We should have a good game plan on that maybe later this evening, right?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing to watch. We think the peak of the wind situation might be later this afternoon and then through the evening, but we'll be making determinations. We want everybody to stay tuned as far as what's going to happen with the opening of our facilities and resuming of normal services. We want to get back to normal just as much as everybody does out there, but we need to make sure it's absolutely safe, make sure our facilities are secure, our teams have to go out there into the community, make sure the roads are passable. So there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes to make sure we can reopen safely whenever that happens.
And if you're watching on Facebook, there's information scrolling across the bottom. Please read that, follow those guides. If you've got friends, family, or neighbors, some seniors out there, show them the video, let them listen to it, share your laptop for a bit. Really just kind of work with every one of your neighbors, every one of your family, friends that are out there. Get this information in the right hands. We are desperately trying to reach as many people as possible. And got anything to add to that?
No, we appreciate it, John. We appreciate you helping get the word out. We want as many people to know what's going on and understand what's happening in the community. So we're so proud to have this partnership with you and getting information out to people.
Great job. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I'll talk to you later. And any questions, keep them coming in. We'll be back on later today. and I'll get another blitz out as far as when that time frame is when Jason gives me that update. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.